going to move on now to explaining number 2. This is when we're talking about defining a unit, and we can use equations and solve to define that unit. So one would be if a person uses the unit of time called score in a speech, and there is enough information given that you can actually solve an equation to find out the quantity that a score represents. And so that's what we're going to do here in example 2. In 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. began his famous I Have a Dream speech with the words 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The proclamation was signed by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863. But how long is a score? We could use algebra to find that answer. So since we're talking about finding what a score is, we're going to use S as our variable to represent the number of years that we can find in a score. Then we're going to look and see, well, what kind of years are we talking about? We know that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. began his speech in 1963. And we know that President Abraham Lincoln gave his speech in 1863. So if we can take that information, we can use it to help. So we know that if we take 1963 and we subtract 1863 from it, we get 100 years. So the time between both speeches was 100 years. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. used the word 50 to represent this time. And we said that score was going to be represented by an S. And so we have 5S. And we said the length of time is 100. So there's our equation. Now we're going to use the division property to solve, because this is multiplication, 50, 5 times S. So we're going to divide both sides by 5. And so S is equal to 20. So that means one score is equal to 20 years. All right, and then you're going to practice on the next 2 word problems. Remember that when you're working through them, it's a good idea to pick out important pieces that is going to help you with writing your equation. So I like to highlight or circle or underline. Sometimes I like to write above it. Those are things that you can use as well. So if you have any questions, let me know.